Hi, friends. Welcome back to the POD podcast by Gulshan. So, when I started this series, I said I'm not going to ever talk to any professional because honestly, I feel they just have the knowledge from the books. But when I met Sharifa, I've met her twice, and there was something about her. So today, I really want to have this conversation with Dr. Sharifa Yateem, and she's a psychologist. And I'm really honored to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Gulshan. I am really proud of the setup that you've put together, the POD podcast. I'm very happy to be here today.
So let's start. When I called you, I really thought you were a sibling as well
Yeah.
because
Many people think that way.
because there was so much empathy when you had come to Mawahib where I used to teach and you were recording Abdullah,
Yeah.
and Abdullah is an artist on the spectrum. But the way you were interacting with him, it was not professional, like a psychologist. You were just seeing another human being.
Yes.
And that was the connection that, I saw in you and I said, wow, she's good. So I'd saved your number. And, I never knew in those days that I would be doing podcasts and you would be sitting.
Ah, my God, time flew. That was back in 2017
Yeah.
or
I think just before
19.
the Olympics or after.
After the Olympics.
So then 19.
After the Special Olympics.
Then it was 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to be part of that documentary by Mubadala. And when we went and I went and met Abdullah and I met you, I was like, oh my God, Abdullah, mashallah, it really shows that his family was supportive, and having a teacher like you really brought out his giftedness and his acceptance of the condition of spectrum, on the spectrum, autism spectrum disorder or autism spectrum condition, and how you made it fluently involving him and accepting himself and being self-aware. I loved that in you. And it really inspired me.
So, when he was 18 and he came to the studio, he didn't even know he had autism.
Yeah.
It was like a big shock to him. And then he said, oh, so it's not a bad thing. He said, not at all. Your brain is just wired differently. But that is what makes you so unique. And that is what makes you so creative. And that is why you are who you are.
You know what I hate about the media? They always portray autism in a picture where they're sitting in a corner and covering their ears and the lights are all dark, and they always say, he conquered the disease of autism. Why? They have a huge role in changing people's perspective and helping families to accept their children, to have the individuals on the spectrum to accept themselves. So if the media put these kind of pictures in the background or saying, this person or that person has conquered autism, there's nothing to conquer. It's all about adaptability. It's all about what are the skills so that he can have a better quality of life, to express his needs, to know the social, cultural rules, the hidden rules, because we have in the Khaliji culture, we have a lot of social hidden rules, and it's so tiring to keep up with all of these things. If not someone explicitly told me, Sharifa, you can't do that in our culture, I will get shunned from my society, and being a psychologist and very proud to be the first Emirati board certified behavior analyst, it helped me. It opened my eyes. I got to see the science, the importance of science, as well as looking at PODs as they have a maybe unique way of learning, because that's how they're wired, or that's how they're their way of thinking or perspective, but also looking at the scientific background. So molding those two together is so important.
And do you feel that they have so much to share with us, and we need to learn from them?
That's for everyone. And to be honest, when the parents come into my clinic in Abu Dhabi. I have a clinic called Sharifa Yateem Center for Rehabilitation. They always complain. They always complain. They're used to complaining because the family around them, they're always complaining about their kid. Your kid doesn't play. Your kid doesn't eat. Your kid, does behaviors that other kids don't want to be with him, don't want to be his friend because he flaps his hand or because he talks to himself or he likes to look at the corners of the window or whatever it is. The things that I hear in my office, the first thing I do is before I see before I see the child, the first thing I would look at the mother and the father. How far are they in their mental health? Because without them, I won't be able to give them any homework or any strategies or any education if they are fogged up with anxiety, with self-hatred, with doubts, with denial, with self-blame. Like imagine if you are going to be like you need to learn a new skill and you have all of these doubts in your mind.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see clearly. So the first things first, check in with the family. Where you are in accepting your child might have different needs, might have different skills, giftedness, and then looking
Or
at
not,
it in a different...
or not having those skills and giftedness.
Or not.
Because everyone says, they call me, a lot of families call me and they say, can you make my son also artistic? He's autistic, can you make him artistic? I said, it's not like that. It doesn't work like that.
Not all autistics are artistic.
I just tell them, okay, bring, but then, they'll send me they're literally scribbles. And they say, see, can you see the potential? He's 6 years old, I said, can he just continue doing what he's doing and then we'll see. So I said, okay, you know what? Bring them to the studio. Let them meet Abdullah. And Abdullah sits with them and on the iPad and he teaches them and they follow him.
That's amazing.
And then I said, this is what you have to do. This is how, inshallah, your child might become an artist and might not become an artist. But it's not like just because he has autism, he has this talent in him.
But Gulshan, what's interesting or how I see the children is that when I see in the books, they say the repetitive obsessions, in my eyes, I see that it's a talent. I love kids that get obsessed with technology because I can make like a career out of that for them.
Yeah.
If he loves art, he loves trains, he loves cars.
And then they're so hyper-focused
on that.
Yeah.
And then families would be like, I don't want him to do that. Let him stop that. I don't like it,
Astrology, they love.
Astrology, I got kids like that, So I'm like, or geography or history or math, science. There's special interests. And for me, when I see that, I'm like, how about turning that table around and say like, can we make something out of this?
Yeah.
Maybe he is higher level in this specific special interest than his age group and he could be gifted in this.
Yeah,
and he
do
can
research.
Learn really quickly.
Yeah, learn and start moving towards doing research. If they're interested in whales, guide them, let them do that.
About the sea world, maybe he will be someday an entrepreneur, a business owner.
Yeah.
In this, maybe he will be a professor in this in the university, And once I tell them that to the parents, they're like, oh my God, that's so true. I won't stop him playing with that anymore, So it's that interest that I'm looking for.
Even being on screen, the parents are so petrified. And I keep telling them, I'm using Abdullah's example. So where has he picked up this accent from? He speaks in a fluent American accent, Where has his vocabulary come from? Not by reading, he doesn't read. It's all because of screen.
Yeah. And to be honest...
And he's picked it up.
Yeah. To be honest, I see the same thing. So I come in with kids because I do early intervention and then I also support the middle age and then let's say high school age and then pre-employment up to the age of 21.
Okay.
So I try to fill every part of the lifespan. So one of the things is that the screen time, they would say to me, the pediatrician said no screen time, 0. So I say, okay, I understand where the pediatrician is coming from because many parents use the screen time as a pacifier.
Yeah.
They would just because they don't have time for this kid. The kid is having tantrums, so just put him in front of a screen and like a pacifier. So, okay, I understand that having this kind of way could block the kid out of social life and he won't be able to have other opportunities to build their social skills. But can we use that interest? You know? So I said, okay, you know what? Let's try something. And I teach her how to use his favorite songs where he goes and repeats it
And he starts speaking.
and starts speaking, you know? And I get to see the kids that were with me since I started my center. Now we're 4 years. And the kids that started with me now, they're like 4 years and a half or 5. They would tell me, oh my God, Sharif, I can't believe that you started with singing a song with the kid. And then he started to imitate you because, you know, kids on the spectrum find it challenging to imitate in the beginning. Once they get the point, they're like, aha, I need to get this skill so I can learn new skills. From there, and then towards requesting things, you know, and research even back that up, that you can start with singing songs, you know, if he likes Humpty Dumpty or on McDonald's, you know, and then pause.
And then wait.
And wait. And then he would sing, and I'll sing along with him, you know, and make it fun. And it shows huge progress with the kids.
Yeah.
So imagine if I am that type of practitioner and go like, you're not allowed to use this. Give him, you know, materials of typical kids, and he has to do this. You know, push him into neurotypical play situations. You know, he should learn. He'll pick it up. No, he needs guidance.
Exactly.
The kid needs guidance. They need parents that are patient, not frustrated. That's why I really ask the parents, like, how are you with your depression and anxiety? Because depression, anxiety can make you feel like frustrated really quickly.
But it's hard.
It is hard.
It is hard. You know, when I speak to parents, I run a support group for families who have children with special needs. So when I see the meltdown happening, and the mom is just like, oh my God, not again. I said, just be calm.
Yeah.
He can't help it.
Yeah.
This is not a tantrum that if you give him what he's asking for and it
Yeah.
will stop.
No.
This is not a tantrum.
It's a shutdown.
He's just overstimulated.
Yeah.
And you have to have patience. And you have to just be there. And just hold him.
Yeah.
And let, you know.
It will pass.
It will pass.
Yeah.
And over the years, you know, we say, okay, it's a meltdown. And you have to explain to the families, you know, your extended family, this is not a tantrum and this is not bad behavior.
Yeah.
This is a meltdown, you know. So people really need to understand. And, you know, when the POD parking
Yeah.
was extended to people on the spectrum, everyone was saying, but why? They can walk. But they also have meltdowns.
Yes.
And the mom and dad really need, if they want,
They
to
need
remove the child from
in a
that
safe
space,
space.
and just go, you know, and into a safe space for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, instead of the whole world watching and saying, oh my God, such bad behavior,
Yeah.
you know.
I hate when people judge others.
But they do.
They don't put themselves in the parents' shoes, you know. And we see a lot of meltdowns in the clinic, right? And we differentiate between this is a tantrum and this is a meltdown.
Yeah.
You know, and once we see that meltdown happening because they're used to that and they don't have that skill to regulate their emotions.
Exactly.
It is part of the condition, and we have to teach them gradually until slowly, you know, we can see the precursors, we know the triggers, we study that, we'll tell the parents to look for them. Safety comes first because during meltdowns, the kid doesn't know what's happening around him. He could be rolling and he could hit his head on a corner or like jump and scratch or jump and bite.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing at that moment. The brain is kind of like alerting. You know, I always explain to the parents, and in my office, I have like this brain, you know, an actual size brain. And I would say, see the front part of the brain? That's where the let's say the manager, The manager would tell them, all right, I understand that this is an overwhelming situation. I know what to do. But what if the manager doesn't know what to do? What will happen to the people? What will happen to the staff? What will happen to the whole company, which is our body? You know, they will go back and they will say, I don't know what to do. And there's alert coming around. And that's where I have to explain that to the parent in a very, a way that they can connect with it, And then be like, oh my God, my son, like so how can I help him? You can help him being there
and being
making
calm.
sure you are calm because he's going to mimic that, and also safety. Put cushions, remove everyone's sight. I don't like it when people like crowd up, like give space. I wouldn't imagine myself being in a meltdown and everyone's like on my head. That would frustrate me more.
And screaming and yelling and nothing is going in your head.
Yeah, that's going to even aggravate me even more.
Yeah.
So in the teenager life, meltdowns happen, of course, but also if they didn't have that early intervention,
then
it's
it
going to
escalates.
escalate when he grows up and he's going to be stronger.
Yeah.
And he might be in trouble because he hurted someone and then his self-esteem goes down. So we would start early.
Yeah.
That's why when I tell the parents, start early. You don't need to wait for the diagnosis. Just start early. You see your child, he's not responding, he's not playing, he's having meltdowns frequently. Let's work with you. Let's teach you the skills, how to teach him how to point, how to, for example, try to problem solve, to put a puzzle, in the scientific evidence-based practices, that you can learn, you can teach. You as a parent could be the best therapist, and you are.
When they're on the floor, just putting pressure on them. I don't know, I used to do that. And
they would come.
They would just calm down.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, we are breathing in, holding, and we're breathing out.
Yeah.
That's all we are doing.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything else. And I did it with all the adults. I would see that, okay, it's coming on, it's coming.
Yeah.
I would say, you know what? This is an art studio for adults with disabilities. So if you are going to behave like a child, you can leave. So I would say, please walk out. Calm down. Because regulate yourself, because you know how to do it now.
Yeah.
So I won't allow a meltdown.
Yeah.
Because now you're an adult. So leave, breathe, come back when you're fine.
Yeah.
And they would do that.
Yeah.
And they would sometimes tell me, I think we just need to breathe outside. I said, no, go.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also worked really hard is to get a multidisciplinary team with me. So I needed that occupational therapist to be with me because in their specialization, they really delve into sensory integration disorders and challenges, and I learned a lot from that. I learned that, we're a bundle of nerves. We're a bundle of nervous systems. Yeah. And if our nervous systems are not connecting with each other, they're not talking with each other properly, everything else goes out of the way, So whenever you have a stressor coming to you, you're like, okay, if the nervous system is strong, you'll know how to deal with it, how to deal with the stress. If your nervous system is not developed, you will have a meltdown faster.
Yeah.
So what happened is that the occupational therapists, they do this thing, they call it a sensory profile. They see where there's sensory issues through, the observation, through interviewing people, and then they would pinpoint because the individual on the spectrum, they don't know how to articulate that they actually have that issue because of their self-awareness, skills. So through that analysis, they will see, right, he has touch sensitivity. So in some kids, touching could aggravate the meltdown.
Yeah.
In some kids, it will actually calm down. In some kids, they need that swinging. Vestibular. They need that, So part of my practice, when I start to analyze as a behavior analyst, why is behavior happening? Could be communication issues. It could be the task is too hard or the environment is too loud because he has auditory sensory issues. We would work alongside with the occupational therapist and tell us from their science what are the exercise that we can do to strengthen those neurodevelop, systems,
Yeah.
those nervous systems, because he can't be in a mainstream classroom where it's loud and the teacher's loud and all of
The
the
other kid, yeah.
stimulation, and they can't be in that environment. They just
So,
can't.
what is your take on, the KHDA saying that every child deserves to be in mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, so education is for all. That is
Yes.
the right for every child.
Yes.
Every child should have
But
an education. But it's very, very important to see the severity of this case, right? And the environment support that we need to incorporate in the environment for this child. The trainings of the practitioners, the teachers, is so important.
I don't honestly think the teachers who've done their B.Ed have
What is BEd?
like Bachelor of Education.
Yeah.
I don't think they have been. My mother had
Trained.
done it, but that was many, many years ago. But I don't think that they have been given this extra class
Yeah.
on how to deal with children on the spectrum, with ADD, ADHD, with learning disabilities. I don't know if they are equipped. Now they have the LSAs, the learning support, coming, who are not trained again. It's just that they can read and write in English. And they're sitting in the class. Honestly, I don't believe that it's helping either.
Yeah.
Till grade 4, 5, the parents say, no, you have to call that kid and you have to call this one. After that, they choose their friends and they say, we don't want him at our party because he disrupts it,
Yeah. So what's
And
the
then,
point,
so they're
right?
just left out.
Yeah, it kills me. It really kills me.
And that is happening all the time.
Yeah.
So don't you think that what we really need is an in-between school? I'm not saying that they belong in the special needs. My daughter, yes, she belonged in
A
the
special
special
needs
need.
center.
Yeah, she needed to be there.
Yeah.
But
More
she-
restrictive environment.
No, and she needed physiotherapy. She needed speech therapy. She needed OT, which she got there. And she didn't need academics. There was no way that she was ever going to learn ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4. There was no way that was happening.
Yeah.
What she needed is what she got in her
Yeah.
in the school for special needs. But I don't believe that, these in-between
There
children.
must be in between. So there is something called transition classrooms, right? In the US, when I was getting training there, I went to the schools. I went to their government schools. And I was like, okay, but this kid can't be in the same grade level as a grade 6 level.
Yeah.
And he is obviously in that age, but his academic skills is not in grade 6
much
levels.
lower.
But he's really good in art and maybe exceeds them. So there is a model, which I've been researching on, is the in-between classroom, what we call it, right? And an alternative curriculum. And that is my PhD research.
And that is what we need.
Yeah. So the reason why I did my PhD is not because, I want to be called Dr. Sharifa. No, I really wanted to learn how to answer my own questions. How do I do a research and then do a proposal and then write a method and then I can publish it so that I can do change in my country, So what I've investigated, so it's an investigation. I went to schools and got to learn the perspective of the teachers, the perspective of the principals. I spoke to government sectors. I spoke to parents. I kind of looked into it a 360 kind of way. And they all said, Sharifa, your way of thinking is phenomenal. We want a curriculum that could be adaptable for that student. And it shouldn't be just for people of determination. It should be for everyone because not everyone can want to go into that A level or the IGCSE or that American curriculum or blah, 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 So can we have something that will help us to gain skills that I don't need to go to university because that's not my pathway that I want to choose. I want to get into the workforce.
Vocational, yeah.
I just want to go into workforce. Teach me how to, get the soft skills for pre-employment. Teach me how to do functional math, functional writing, functional English, functional, these kind of
AI,
things.
teach me AI.
Teach me coding that
Yeah.
I can do. I can then support myself and get the therapy from my own pocket, as well as support my own family.
Yeah.
I had a POD that came to me, and we helped him to get a job, and he sponsored his mother. Imagine, because he got a job in the customer service of hotels, and he loves talking to people. And that hotel, they started to get more clients and more customers because they loved him. Because he would stand there and be like, hello. And he has that bubbling personality,
Yeah.
and that's what I love. Like, we should be more flexible. And parents also, I think, if you look out of the box, not all kids should be going in the same. We're not robots. We don't always have to graduate from high school and then go to university and then go to, then get a job, Realize that it's not for everyone. I did this because I was able to go to that mainstream personally. But through my practices and through looking at the differences of how beautiful humans are, I said schools should have some other curriculums, and they can have it. They need a bit of resources. They have the space because, mashallah, schools in the UAE are beautiful.
Yeah.
Their buildings are huge. Resources are there. We just need professionals to really be, first, their attitude, really believing that this is a right that we can. It's not an option. This is something that we should be giving an alternative, curriculum that we can meet the needs of this individual.
And have those in between classrooms.
And have that in between classrooms.
Don't keep them in with the mainstream.
What they call this is pull-outs or pull-ins, something like that, where they would have those classrooms where we would do one-to-one, and then they would put him in the classes where he shows confidence in, he has less behaviors in, because behaviors ultimately is telling us something, right? Like, this is too overwhelming, or I don't like this, it's too much for me. So we have to read that sign and then find, okay, he's really good in sports. So in PE, we integrate him in that class.
Exactly.
But in math, he
But
needs to be...
nobody really has the time, to do all these things.
But many people also believe this is not the right way.
No.
Many people say, like, no, Sharifa, if it is mainstream, you should be in the classroom for all of the subjects.
How?
Yeah.
It's just not possible. It's not fair to the mainstream children, the neurotypicals, and it's not fair to the neurodivergent. It's just not fair. To both.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to that teacher because she's struggling.
She's struggling, and we need to listen to the teacher saying, like, okay, I'm here, and that's what I do in my practice. The kid is struggling. The inclusion department is struggling because they have 300 other kids to manage and put a individualized program. I'd be like, listen, what I can do is to tell you what you should do, 1, 2, 3, and tell me if it's feasible in that environment. As a practitioner, as a specialist, it's not like I'm going to copy paste it from the book of what I learned in my degree, and then here you go, apply this. No, you have to test it. Will this impact in this environment? Parents maybe have other 6 kids to take care of. I won't be able to tell them, you need to take data every time that he does this. I can't, So finding the balance. I would bring the intervention and be like, listen, this is the intervention. Take out whatever you feel like this is going to be overwhelming, and maybe later we can insert that in the program. Absolutely fine. It takes time for the practitioner or the teacher or the parent to learn the skill in order to teach that kid, that student, but also giving that time for the student to adapt to the new skill, because that will take time, that he's learning those new skills, or even unlearn things before that now he has to unhabit this and have a new habit, because that transition is actually tough. So these are the things that I would highlight to the parents, and also parent training, so important. Fathers, Gulshan. I don't know about you. Do you have that experience with fathers? Like, they're so out of sync with, I don't want to generalize. I don't want a father now. Fathers calling me up saying like, "I've been in your session every day." You know, how can you say all fathers? Not all fathers. Some fathers are really in the grieving. If you talk about the grieving cycle of acceptance of your
Of
child,
denial. The
they're
first.
completely in denial.
Yeah.
The parent is in a completely different route.
Yeah,
She's
there's-
now learning how to control meltdowns, how to avoid meltdowns, how to reinforce positive behaviors, how to look at like, skills that I'm going to teach him. She knows the teaching tools now. And the father's like, no, he doesn't need it. I don't think he should be in the normal school and push you there. And if he doesn't, that means he's being a bad boy or you're spoiling him too much, you're soft too much, And I feel fathers need more therapy.
In what I have seen over the years, I've also been with special needs for many, many, many years,
Yeah.
especially on the spectrum. A lot of the dads are also on the spectrum.
Thank you.
And they've just
I
been
saw the same
and they've
thing.
just not been diagnosed. And you see the same behavior. And he says, look at him, he doesn't even know how to shake hands. I said, but, you gave your hand as well. Like, just,
Yeah.
they don't make eye contact
Yeah.
with you.
Or they're too quiet.
Yeah,
Like
and they
there's
just
no
look away.
interaction.
Or they'll fiddle or they'll make some sound. And then you say, okay, now I know that it's not a proven thing, but you see the traits.
Many are undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Or maybe overdiagnosed, but undiagnosed as well. And some mothers, they're like, Sharifa, I need to come to your session alone. I'm like, yeah, sure, come in. She's like, I think my husband is on the spectrum. Do you diagnose like a man that's 35 years old?
Yeah.
I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
So I've seen that over the years,
yeah.
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 Or they'll be, if you are at a party, and they'll have very high positions in financial, the CAs and...
Because of the special interests
Yeah.
and their repetitiveness.
In the days when newspapers were there, now I know many people don't have it, but we had a party. This guy is just sitting down, making the sound of the newspaper, And then you think, like, what's going on? We had a party. You don't need to read the paper.
Yeah.
Or they'll sit with their legs and they'll just keep...
Shake, yeah.
Oh, my... So you see all
see
these... A lot.
I
of
see
it,
that.
yeah.
I've been in this field now 15 years. I'm sure you're more. But also, I want to talk about masking, right? So they're good in masking that
Yeah.
are undiagnosed.
Yeah.
And people
But they were always told by their parents, stop doing what you're doing. Yeah. This is not appropriate. Don't do that. I just met this one lady who's just found out that she has autism. She's an adult. She said, my parents just could not accept me. So she said, I was masking, I was stimming. I didn't know how to stim. So she said, I started curling my toes in my shoes.
So
that
she
was
found
her
a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is not seen.
She need to hide it.
Yeah.
And that's the masking part, right?
That's the mask. And women mask
more.
Lots more.
Yeah, because expectation.
Yeah.
And some women are underdiagnosed
Exactly.
as well.
Yeah.
Which is also another thing because autism looks different
in
from
women
women
yeah.
and the girls and boys, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in my clinic, and it's completely like the opposite what's in the books. She is timid, she's quiet, and then they're like, yes, in our culture, in the Arab culture, yes, she's a girl. She's supposed to be quiet. She's supposed to be cuddling in a corner because that's what girls do. And she doesn't get diagnosed.
Yeah.
So she's always struggling throughout her life.
And then she's the weird one in the family.
She's the weird one in the family. She doesn't like to be in the social group. She doesn't want to talk.
Yeah.
So then when she is struggling in adulthood, she won't be able to have partnerships.
But they get her married.
You'll get her married because...
And then she can't.
She doesn't know how to deal with that social skills deficits, or she might not see the social cues.
Yeah.
So a lot of the adults that I work with, they would say, Sharifa, at least someone understands that I have to hide behind my diagnosis or my symptoms of autism. Because if I did do these kind of things, people will, at work specifically,
Just reject.
they will reject you. They will not put you in projects. They will say, we don't want her to be involved in our, social events and the work. So they will feel separated,
Yeah.
And but some would say, Sharifa, should I tell them that I'm on the spectrum? Would that be better?
I don't know.
I
don't
Will
think-
that be better? I'm like, it's so hard for me to tell you this. Unless you're going to tell one person and this person could support you throughout your journey in the workplace. Whenever you're finding it challenging, you can say like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I don't understand what the rules are.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing, they know apparently the rules, but I have no idea what the rules are. If you have someone that you can trust and go towards that person so that they can help you to advocate for yourself. The advocacy part, like how can I advocate for my needs? Just like any other typical person, if you feel cold, if you don't feel comfortable in your seat, if you are getting bullied by a staff, you would tell your boss, But adults on the spectrum that are undiagnosed or people don't know about their diagnosis, they would say you're complaining too much. Like, can't you just adapt to what we have?
Yeah,
like,
just move on.
Khalas, move on. But neurotypical, brains or neurodivergent brains, they can't have that ability. They haven't learned that ability to just adapt.
Yeah.
They will try and it's hurtful. And a lot of my adults on the spectrum, they would say, I would just go home and just stim away all of the tiredness of masking.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, you figured out your way of calming down. But how about you finding ways
At work.
that is more safe for you, that wouldn't discriminate you? Maybe, finding a safe space, an office or somewhere that you can just,
Let go.
let go. We all need that, I feel like, and as neurodivergent as well, or as neurotypical, we need that. We also mask,
But
right?
I don't think if the person goes and tells the colleagues that I've been diagnosed, I don't think there's going to be acceptance. Then it is, let's just stay away. And that
But doesn't
person
this
will
has
be
to-
isolated.
But this culture needs to change.
It has to change.
I can't imagine myself putting myself in that person's shoes. And because I have, like in my family, we have dyslexia in our family. Imagine they tell me, you got to do math, you have to do math, and this is your job. And I'm like, I'm struggling, Listen to me, I have this, I cannot. You don't understand how I am. Okay, fine, don't tell them that this is the name of the diagnosis, it's a medical diagnosis. Fine, don't say that. But can't you express and say like, look, being in a noisy place, I can't focus. I need to be in a quieter place. But then your evaluation at the end of the year would be like, non-flexible staff, and that will prevent you from getting promotions or bonuses, because these are soft skills. I know, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own clinic. I actually look at these kind of soft skills, to push leaders and all. But haram, like I would definitely want to help them, or like
Do you feel
individuals.
being an Emirati and a professional, do you feel the culture has changed a bit? Is there more acceptance?
It's so hard to answer because in the Emirati culture, like each family, they have their own culture as well. So there's a collective culture,
Okay.
and there's also an immediate culture within the family. So I'm a Marathi, yes, but I also have a different culture because how I was brought up in my household. So I adapt to that cultural norms as well.
Because what I have seen
Yeah.
is, they have multiple children sometimes with
Right.
disabilities, different disabilities. And I mean, most of the people that I have seen in the schools, and they're financially taken care of, plus the government supports. So they just say, it's fine. It's Allah's will.
Yes.
This is my child, and I will love unconditionally.
We have that in our culture and in our religion, for sure.
So they do. Some, yes, they do.
Yeah.
And some are on another tangent. They've just kept house help and
Isolated them from the family.
then said, okay, just do whatever. Take this child to school. And so when we used to have the parent teachers meetings, and they won't even come. They'd say, talk to the nanny, because anyway the nanny is doing everything. So I said, no, we need to talk to you. He said, I don't know anything about my child. Just talk to the nanny, tell her what you want. So I feel I'm seeing a big change.
Yeah.
Even within, like Abdullah, constantly I get calls that we need an Emirati artist, and to do this project. They only want Emirati artists. And when I tell them that he's on the spectrum, because they're wondering why they're talking to me and not talking to him,
Yeah.
they are like, oh wow, that's even better.
Yeah.
Let's
For publicity.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just reflecting back to that questions, because all of my cases that I come to, or the families I work with, are Emirati, all of them, and they come from all the different Emirates. I have to say, after the Special Olympics, the push of the leadership in the UAE of changing special needs, or mu'aq, disability, in Arabic is mu'aq, to people of determination, it is culturally important. Okay, in some countries, they will say, what a beautiful name. Because people of determination reflects, that through their struggles, through they're pushing through the ups and downs, the resilience, all of these, it did have impact on how you perceive my child, how I perceive my child. But do I say that all members of the culture, or those families, Emirati culture, accept? No. Do I say that the parent or the mother has a huge role in advocating for her kid and showing them that my child is, yes, he's different, like any of the kids. All kids are different, but my kid has a different way of perceiving things, or playing, or has special interests, and that's magnificent and it's beautiful. When that parent carries her head up like this, she demands the culture changes. So that's why I'm always, in my Instagram account, I'm always like, be
empowering.
Proud of my child.
Yeah.
I have a special, and we have a thing in our culture, and also in our religion, is that kids on the spectrum or special needs, they are angels in earth.
Malak.
And you get double the hasana, which is the positive points that will take you to heaven, and that itself makes the parent feel,
I'm blessed.
Yeah, I'm blessed, and reflecting that and reminding those ayats, because religion is so important to help you in your mental health, and research shows that when you do the reflect that, like, you as an auntie, let's say, you're not respecting what God has created. You are the one that's an evil person. That you are bullying my child, or teaching your kids to
not to
talk to him, or don't play with him, he might hit you. And I had some people would be like, I don't want to put my kid in with their cousins, because their cousins will bully him. So it's still in a progress. There's still progress needed, I feel. And to be honest, with media's help, with the leadership's help, with opening services, because some kids are not diagnosed.
Yeah.
Those parents or those kids that are bullying, they themselves know there's something different about their own kids, that they are hiding it, and reflecting it as a defense mechanism, but we know learning disabilities could show in a very different ways. So in my perspective, with all the Emiratis that I've worked with, more than 2,000 cases, these cases, I feel it all depends on the family's background and how you perceive your child. These are two main factors, so that we say collectively, yes, the culture has changed.
Inshallah, but it is moving towards.
It is
moving.
It is moving,
It's
definitely.
Yeah.
And even pushing to get the service.
I don't know if they're doing more genetic testing now.
Yes, they are.
They
now.
are.
So now it's obligatory by the. I think it is going to be obligatory, inshallah, one day, is to do the genetic testing.
Okay.
when they are going to get married, because we do blood tests,
Yeah.
But I think now, in the future that will
Like
happen.
mandatory. It will
Mandatory
have
to
to
do
be done.
genetic testing. And I think that would be great, because we do have inter-family marriage, right? Cousins can get married to cousins. And if both of them are carrying the same gene, then they should know that your child might have learning disability, might have chromosome fragile X, whatever it is,
And so many times, then they are not capable of taking care of the child.
Exactly. And they need that extended family support, and they need that, in-house support, or finding caregivers that will be full-time with that child, because they have other 6 kids too. And I don't blame them if they're going to have a caregiver, but it's important that the parents are on the loop.
Yeah.
That's why I put it as part of the program that I have, is that you have to come and observe. This is part of the program, sorry. Like, if you're not, we can't continue. Because some parents, they're like, khalas, it's not my responsibility anymore. I know it's hard, and I can't imagine how much effort and energy you need to put. You already have a full-time job. Like, I understand that, but it's important to be part of the loop, because those caregivers, by the end, they will finish their contract and they will leave. The kid will get lost.
Yeah.
So you need to be there to continue the program, to continue the daily schedule that they had, to continue the activities.
And just monitor it. Someone needs to monitor that it is being done.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, we have in UAE, I'm saying our country because I really believe it's mine.
It is.
We have a minister of happiness. We have a minister of tolerance. It would be amazing to have a POD minister.
Oh my God, that would be so cool.
A person who is physically and intellectually.
Yes.
I would love to see that representation.
I would love to see it one day.
And not have a professional, sorry. But they need to represent themselves.
Exactly. They have to share their voices, right?
Exactly.
But I know that every government sector is creating a committee. That's what I understood. Of course, I don't work in the government sectors, but I'm very involved. I love to kind of, see what my countries are doing, and I'm very, so proud to see this, because a lot of countries, they don't care.
Exactly.
They're still marginalized. They're still segregated. Now you have laws that protects them. You have committees that share the voices. There is hotlines that you can do it. Leaderships are doing forums that we can contact them directly, because some bureaucracy, sometimes, the family's voices won't be going up to the leadership. So,
in panel discussions, they're taking people.
Exactly. And they've been doing this.
Yeah.
I've been part of it in I try to be in all of those forums and symposiums and conferences and supporting the parents. Like, you have to be there. You're the voice, not me.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, are you a mother of a child? They always ask them, like, no. But because the parents are too shy to speak up
Exactly.
for their kids, someone needs to do it until they get the courage, But I'm very proud to see the parents now are talking about their needs, their family needs, and the child's
Not
needs.
only talking, demanding.
Demanding,
This is what our needs are. This is what we need.
Yeah, and changing is happening.
And change is happening. And they're listening.
Yeah.
So I don't want to name the place. It's happened 2 days back. A new play area has opened in Dubai Mall. And they had a poster, like no people with in a wheelchair and no people in a stroller. Okay, so it's not accessible. But there was an Emirati mom who came in with her toddler. So she's sitting in a wheelchair. And she said, but I need to go in with my child. So they said, you can't read the sign. It's not for you. So
I don't think this is legal. Like, seriously, someone needs to.
So I have just put it out because there's another lady who was actually present there. And she works in accessibility. She said it would have you spent millions of dirhams doing this place up. It would have just taken you 400,000 more to make it accessible. We could have done it for you.
Yeah.
Instead of putting up this sign. This is not going to be allowed because we are going to take it up.
Yes.
The parents have all
collectively
got together that you cannot discriminate.
Yes.
Not in this country.
No.
You cannot.
You cannot do that. And that would frustrate me myself when I see, the government is doing so much for people to build their own business, to do their funding,
Yeah.
non-Emirati projects, and even Emirati. But doing that makes me feel like you don't deserve to have a business in my country. Like,
Yeah.
you should go back where you are and rethink about opening a business, because everything should be accessible for all the different types or needs of every person.
Yeah.
So I don't see why you should discriminate between this person or this
So
person.
even now immigration is all different, but even now immigration for wheelchair, they always have it lower.
Yeah.
So when I'm from India, when I take my daughter who's sitting in a wheelchair to India, they don't have this lower,
She struggles.
and they say ask her to stand up.
Oh.
So I said she can, but he doesn't know that she can, right?
Right.
So I said, excuse me, she's not going to stand. So he said, but she's not looking in the camera. I said, it's not our problem. You have to fix it.
That's crazy.
Put lower
Yeah.
it. So every single time it is the same thing. He says she's not looking.
So if you think about it,
you know.
it's not the individual that's disability, it's the environment
Exactly.
that is disabled
Yeah.
and not meeting the needs of everyone. Have you heard of the sunflower lanyard?
Yeah. It's amazing.
I love it.
It's so good.
One of the parents was telling me yesterday, she came from Bahrain to see me. I'm so privileged that parents from GCC are trusting me and coming to me, and they're like, Sharifa, I love your country. I'm like, why? She's like, it was so smooth in the airport.
Yeah.
They saw the lanyard. She
Yeah.
always puts it with him with his nurse, and she wears it. And they were like, "Oh, your child's, here you go, open."
And they don't make a fuss like, oh, you're traveling with, nothing.
You'd be like, it's
It's
okay,
just-
here you go.
yeah.
Give space. Excuse me, give space
Yeah.
for the child to get in.
And
the
if
security.
he needs to sit in a, at the airport, a quiet place, everything is there.
Have you heard the sensory rooms in Dubai
In the-
Mall? I love that.
It started with the Expo.
Ah.
Expo made sure that, after a few pavilions, they had this sensory room, a quiet room where they could just,
I feel I need that. Airports are overwhelming, But also, have you heard about? I'm part of this initiative where they are certifying and doing trainings to get certified autism places, and they are going to entertainment. So this is like their whole business is that they would go to entertainment places, hotels, hospitals, and they would do autism training, and then they would help them to make the hotel or the entertainment place autism friendly. And then even beaches. Now Dubai, all of the beaches are autism friendly.
really.
Yeah. Where the security, the lifeguards, they all understand what autism is.
Wow.
And they are in collaboration.
And it's also wheelchair friendly. You can take the wheelchair right
friendly
into-
also, So I'm just like, this 10 years ago, nothing. Mashallah, how fast things, they wouldn't be like, yes, they have the right to enjoy life, go to the beach, enjoy the beach, and people in the security and everyone should be well trained and well, versed about that everyone is different in their own needs, and we need to find ways for that.
Exactly.
And be creative in that. You shouldn't be like, no, sorry, I'm an engineer, I'm not specialist in this. No.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You are an engineer, you are a telecommunication, you as a principal, you as a teacher, you guys need to train yourselves.
Sensitized, yeah.
Train yourselves.
Yeah.
Go get professional development in this. You don't go like, sorry, this is not my field and I don't want to step into this field. Sorry. No. Everyone can talk to each other now online.
What we really, really need is like a social club. So these two moms in India, have started something called Let's Buddy Up. It's an app where you can find your friend. So you can say, I'm living in this area and I want friends with who have autism in from this area. So I can hang out with them. So then the app puts you together, connects you, and nobody's telling you just leave your, as a parent, see if it's because of course there can be dangers in this.
That's the thing. Like, that's the first thing I think about. Like,
But
predators.
but then you as a parent support and go hang out with them in the beginning, invite them,
Yeah.
you know.
Build that
But
trust.
and then it's so important that they have friends.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely important.
And even matrimonial.
Yeah.
You know, everyone says, oh, no, they can't. Down syndrome getting married. So, yeah, why not? You know,
Yeah, that's another thing.
why can't they marry?
You know what? I'll tell you. Culturally, they will say like they both have the same genetics and they get married. They're going to have a third child.
Okay, but there's a way to prevent that, no?
Right. Yeah.
But it's okay.
Many people will ask me, do autistics get married?
Yeah.
Really, Sharifa? I'm like, yes, I met at one of the conferences I went on international travel, and the individual on the spectrum was there because I've done a lot of documentaries, and he's married, and his wife knows about his, triggers, and she knows about his sensory issues, and she knows how to deal with if he, that some social cues he wouldn't even know them, and she would explicitly say like, what you just did hurts me, and I don't want you to do that, but you can do X, Y, Z instead.
Yeah.
Very clear, very nicely put. And he has kids as well. And those kids also, they know. And he has 3 dogs where he trains them, and he says, so funny, he would say like, Sharifa, can you please tell me if I'm blabbing a lot? And if you want me to shut up, just tell me. Be quiet, I give someone else a chance. I love that he's open on this, and that I don't need to tiptoe around him. No, he's so open about the diagnosis. He knows the triggers. He knows where he messes up. He knows like how I can approach him, and he always has his friend with him because his friend will be like, give someone else a chance, you know.
Yeah. My sign is like, stop. In sign language,
It's
that's
done.
stop.
But I love that, and I love that on individual on the spectrum, they're so pure-hearted.
But where are they supposed to find? So if we
Let's do an app, Gulshan, dating app for individuals on the spectrum.
or like a dating club or where they can meet. And also
There's a lot
what
of
we
dating apps.
really need, even for the expat community, we don't have our extended family. Y'all do. So you get a lot of support from the family.
The family.
We don't get that.
Yeah.
So when we have a child, it's 24/7.
Yes.
And if you cannot financially afford to keep a caretaker, it's on the mom. And
Full time.
Full time, it's a lot.
Full-time job.
Yeah.
So
if we had like respite centers, not like a weekend.
yes.
Can I just send them for the weekend so I can just take a
So
break?
they sleep there?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we really would need something for the
So
expats and for Emiratis.
This is a message to everyone. Entrepreneurs that want to do something and you don't know what to do, here you go. That's a project.
Yeah, we need a respite center. We need a residential home.
Yes.
Again,
residential
we
home.
might not get our visas that long, but how they've opened golden visas for artists. I got a golden visa for being an artist. No country ever recognizes creative people.
Right.
This was the only country that did it. Yeah,
amazing.
so grateful. It would be nice for people with determination also getting golden visas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it to them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's a lovely idea and I can't wait for this to happen and to put rules and regulations for, residential places. Safety comes first. And even residential, it's not only about babysitting. They can learn independent skills.
Exactly.
Because I want to see the kids that come to me in my office is that I want to see them being independent. They live by themselves. They don't need a caregiver. Caregiver can pop in and out to make sure they're doing what they have to do. they prep their own meal. And by the way, when I went to Boston to do my training, I've seen that.
Yeah, I saw it
know?
in Netherlands. They
Yeah.
just lived on their own.
Beautiful, and they get to meet their roommates. Some of them they live in their own room. Some of them they're sharing. They make sure they're taking care of their own stuff. No one's gonna clean up.
So we
After each
need that.
We need that.
Sharifa, make it happen.
Done.
Okay, thank you. On that note, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. And you have lots coming your way.
Yes,
Make things happen. You can.
I can, and we can.
We can.
Thank
And we need the minister.
Yeah, we need the minister exactly.
A person of two people. One who's in a wheelchair physically and
And
intellectually. Yeah.
let's make
Amazing.
it happen. Thank you so much for having me here. It was lovely talking to you.
And you. Thank you so much. So I hope you enjoyed this. I did. I think we could have just gone on, but I did see Sharifa looking at her watch. So,
Sorry.
but yeah, I've had an amazing time talking with her, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it too. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.